is that in this census, we learn something unique, something that the Rambam clarifies for us, where the Torah tells us in chapter 4, Kol haba letzava la'avod et avodat oel moed, that in verse number 30, chapter 4, verse number 30, from Kadosh Baruch Hu talks about the different types of Kohanim, who, what, when, and how, and he said, you shall count them, everyone who comes to the legion to do the work of the oil moed. So Onkelos Ager HaKadosh says this is referring to everyone who comes to join the legion of the Leviim. Not just anyone that's coming to work at the oil moed, at the Bet HaMikdash of the wilderness, but this is referring to everyone that is coming to join the Leviim, the legion of the Leviim, and it's not a legion that is an army that's going to fight with swords and knives and bombs. But this is the army of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now, a person reads this for the first time, and he says, okay, this is wonderful. I like to hear stories from 3,000 years ago, but how does this have anything to do with my life? Number one, I'm not a Levi. Number two, I don't have a Bet HaMikdash that I can work in. Number three, why do I need to read this every single year? Okay, I read it one time in my life. Why do I need to read it? The Rambam writes in Hilchot Shemitah V'Yovel, chapter 13, Halakha number 12 and 13. Why did the Levites not receive a portion of the inheritance of Eretz Yisrael and the spoils of war like their brethren? Because they were set aside to serve God and minister unto Him, and to instruct people at large in His just paths and righteous judgments. As the Torah says in Sefer in Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 10, they will teach your judgments to Yaakov and your Torah to Israel, and therefore they were set apart from all of the ways of the world. They do not wage war like the remainder of the Jewish people, nor do they receive an inheritance, nor do they acquire for themselves through their physical power. Instead, they are God's legion. As it states, God has blessed His legion, and He provides for them. In Numbers chapter 18, verse 20, and also, I am your portion and your inheritance. So in Halakha number 12, the Rambam clarifies, hey, this legion is not an army that is an army with weapons, but rather it's an army of Hashem. These are the rabbis, these are the Talmidei Chachamim, these are the people that are going to not only learn Torah and serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but also serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu by teaching Torah. So still the person says, okay, great, I understand, it's wonderful, they're special people, I'm still not a Levi, and it still don't have a Bet HaMikdash. So therefore you have to continue reading Halakha number 13. Not only is the tribe of Levi, but any one of the inhabitants of the world whose spirit generously motivates him, and he understands with his wisdom to set himself aside and stand before God to serve Him and minister to Him and to know God, proceeding justly as God made him, removing from his neck the yoke of the many reckonings which people seek, he is sanctified as holy of holies, Kodesh Kodashim. God will be his portion and heritage forever, and will provide what is sufficient for him in this world, like He provides for the priests and for the Levites, for the Kohanim and the Leviim. And thus King David declares in Psalm chapter 16 verse 5, God is the lot of my portion, you are my cup, you support my lot. In so many words, the Rambam is in essence telling us who are the Leviim that are being referenced here. It's not just the tribe of Levi, but in fact, anyone today that is learning Torah, and that is their primary vocation, that is their primary concern, that is their primary aspiration. This is what they want to do. And they're not just learning it for their own sake, they're learning it for the sake of also teaching others. These holy avrechim we have in the kollel, what our organization as a whole does, doing kiruv, teaching people that don't know anything, teaching people that do know a lot but need extra chizuk, teaching people different things that to get them closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is in essence what the Rambam says. This makes you just like the Leviim, a special legion of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So a person that is concerned about the protection of Am Yisrael, instead of them following the Zionist mentality that tells people, go and join some army, go and invent a new weapon, you don't need weapons to fight against HaKadosh Baruch Hu's enemies. You need more Torah. The more Torah that you have in the world, the less you'll actually need weapons. And the beautiful part is that anyone can do it. The more you commit to the Torah, as this is my primary focus in life, this is all I want to do. Either Torah that you're learning and teaching, Torah that you're getting people to learn and to teach. This is what makes a person part of that special, unique legion of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So again, first we saw something that seems from the surface not really relevant to your average person. Now we see that it can be relevant if the person makes that choice. In so many words, you can be part of that special legion if you choose to be. You don't need to have a special merit. You don't need to have special yichus as far as who your father is and how you were brought up and what yeshiva you made. Simple. It's a decision you make today. Now, of course, many times people, they start watching the shiurim, they like it, they start observing certain mitzvot, and they figure that, okay, I'm going to learn Torah, I'm going to watch my shiurim for a couple of hours a day, I'm going to go work, at CVS and at Walmart and go sell diamonds and go cut hair and go do all these different things. And Baruch Hashem, I'm learning. This is wonderful. Now, can that person that's living a regular life, that he can't study Torah all day, he can't teach Torah all day, but he wants to be part of this special legion. He wants to be part of this special legion, but he knows he cannot abandon his career, in some factory, because he doesn't have the tools. Can he be part of that legion? Yes, he can. Why? Just like the Rambam explained, a person that is committing himself to serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to bring this Torah outwards, to bring it out there, that's a person that is part of that legion. So what does a person do? Simply, you may not be able to learn Torah all day. Surely you need to learn some. You need to learn a few hours a day. You need to learn as much as possible. But you can turn what you're doing as far as your vocation, your work, into something that is connected to the Torah. How? Simple. You take a piece of the money that you make and you invest it in your number one investment in life. And that's into the world of Torah. You take on yourself to go and sponsor 1 or 2 or 3 avrechim each month. You take on yourself to go and sponsor X amount of money into helping people do tshuva, into helping people that are doing kiruv. You go and you invest a good portion of your money on a regular basis, not in some 401k or in some retirement that you may or may not ever see, but rather you invest it into the world of Torah, but of course Torah that works. And this is one of the things that a person does need a special merit to have, where there are plenty of donations that are made, but unfortunately very few of them end up in the right places that people think. And we've talked about this many times. We have even a whole shiur about it that we did several months ago, so we're not going to go over it again. The point is that a person needs to find themselves a righteous Torah institution, whether it's a kollel or a kiruv organization, or its name is Bezrat Hashem, or whatever you want to call it. The key is to make that your priority. Now, of course, a person could say, listen, can I dabble? Can I diversify? Sure, if you are so smart and so fortunate that you know of multiple organizations that you really know are true Torah organizations, by all means, you can diversify. The problem is that people think that diversifying their tzedakah is always a good thing, and it's not necessarily so. And the reason why is because you have to look at your tzedakah the same way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is structuring this week's parasha. He's telling each one of Bnei Israel here that they have a specific job. He tells Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron HaKohen, go and tell each one of the tribes. And not only each one of the tribes, each one of the families within the tribes, that they have a specific job to do, and only that job. They can't go and help each other in somewhere else. The one that's responsible for picking up, let's say, the tachash skin that's covering the mishkan from the Kehat family, he can't just decide, you know what, I don't feel like doing this today. I'm going to go help my buddy over there that's taking care of the poles. And the one that's taking care of the poles says, you know what, the poles, it's not for me today. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go help some of the Leviim that are going inside the Kodesh Kodashim over there with the table, with the cool stuff over there, the menorah. I'm going to go help them out. Looks like they need a hand. You can't do that. There's no permission to do that. In fact, the only job you're allowed to do is the job that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you. Why? Because you have, just like everyone understands logically that for a business to succeed, everyone has to have a certain role. Yes, if you're an entrepreneur, you have a small business, you at times have to wear multiple hats, but everyone knows for that business to succeed, there has to be a primary hat. There has to be one major role that only you can do and no one else can. And it's the more successful a business is, the more they have certain people that are not simply dispensable. Many employees, and in fact most employees, are disposable because their task can easily be replaced by somebody else, not necessarily because the task is easy, but simply because they themselves are doing just the minimum. They're not adding any special thing to it that's their unique touch that makes them a really big success for the company. They just fulfill the minimum, and therefore, anytime there's cutbacks or anytime there's a better opportunity for a company, they look for all of the disposable employees to cut first. They're not going to go cut the major people that are the rainmakers of the company. They're always going to look at the people that are disposable. But needless to say, those key people, either they're executives or managers or rainmakers, special salesmen, people that are unique within a company, they are tasked with that job. Now, yes, of course, you're tasked with that job. You're dealing with, some type of chemicals, and you have to be responsible for that chemical. But of course, if there's a little bit of garbage on the floor, you can pick that up too. If somebody forgot to lock the door, you could do that too. But that's not your primary task. That's not your primary task. And everyone understands that that type of process is necessary for a business to succeed, big or small. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's even more important in the world of Torah. It's even more important in the world of Torah. Each one of the tribes and each one of the families within the tribes were tasked with specific, unique tasks that only they can do. No one else can help them. They cannot help anybody else. You have to make all of your energy, all of your focus on this one particular thing. Now, if a person focuses their life today, and not just their business, but also their servitude of Hashem, and how they contribute, how they donate, where they pray, what they do, in one particular place that they're fortunate enough to find, that's helping them, that's inspiring them, that's helping others, and so on, and they can make that their primary investment, more times than not, that's going to be much more successful in their olam haba and in their olam hazeh than spreading themselves very thinly. And the reason why is because, again, even though everybody means well, and even though it seems like everybody's doing good things, not everything is the same. Not all investments are the same. Some investments can only generate 2 or 3 or 4% a year. Some investments have the potential to make 40 or 50%. Some investments can triple or quadruple your money. Some investments are, not investments, but they're guaranteed losses. A person needs to look at their servitude of Hashem as what is going to yield me the biggest result. Where can I make the most amount of spiritual profit as I invest this money? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't care about what you like and what you don't like, and what looks good for the community or what doesn't look good for the community. Because if something looks good for the community but is bad for the world of Hashem, then of course this is not the will of Hashem.